probably the most important and most overlooked section of my discussion tonight is getting your personal information organized. I've been married for more than 25 years, and I am a firm believer that a household runs very well if there is a very firm delineation of whose job is what, okay? But I'm always afraid that if something happened to me, who is going to know what my job entails, okay? Who's going to make sure that they know who to call, where to get this stuff, what I do on a regular basis. I try to tell my husband what I do on a regular basis all the time, but just to make sure that those things are done, because there can be a lot of information that when it's lost, it could cause problems in the running of a household. So there is just some basic personal information that everybody should have access to. Making sure that your family knows, or your loved ones or your trusted individuals knows what your full legal name is, okay? Start with this, because I am always shocked when I have longtime friends that come in to do their planning, and it turns out that the name that we've called them for 50 years is not actually their legal name. And in this day of Homeland Security and passport and DMV and all the rest of it, knowing the full legal name of an individual is really important. Not your confirmation name that everybody, that you like much better than the name given to you by your parents, but your full legal name, including maiden names, how many ever those might be, prior married names, just to make sure everybody knows what that information is. It's amazing how that kind of information can get lost really quickly, making sure they know what your social security number is. Important. That could be one of those documents that you keep in the fireproof, floodproof, locked box in your home. Your birth date and place of birth. Birth records are extremely hard to get. So we want to make sure that we know where to find a birth record and what your real birth date is, with the right year. Okay. Copies of your birth certificate are really probably the best way to make sure that information is known. So if we have a copy of your birth certificate, even if it's a photocopy, if we need to get an original for some reason, we at least know where to go to get one. Names and addresses of spouse, children, and other relatives. This is especially hard when you have a small family structure. Maybe no spouse, maybe no children, maybe cousins are your closest relatives. We need to make sure that we know who to contact and who would have family tree information at that point in time, and a family tree that you do would be really great. Copies of marriage certificates and death certificates. I have an unfortunate story regarding my in-laws. When my mother-in-law was suffering from dementia, we needed to get a copy of a marriage certificate for her and my father-in-law, who had passed away. And everybody knew where they got married. They got married on Long Island. Turns out they weren't even married in New York State. And to this day, we do not know where their marriage certificate is. Okay. Death certificates for spouse, children, parents, grandparents, any death certificates you have, even if it is just photocopies, are really helpful. Divorce decrees. If you're divorced, the divorce decree, I have to tell you, is harder to get than anything else. It's like Fort Knox, okay? The only people that can get divorce decrees in New York are the individuals who were divorced, or the attorneys of record when the divorce occurred. So if your divorce took place in 1974, it's unlikely that the attorney is still practicing. So that, forecloses that. Very, very hard to get. Adoption paperwork. If you were adopted or you have children that were adopted, important that everybody has access to photocopies of that adoption decree, because it may come up in certain circumstances. And also very, very hard to find otherwise. Military records, discharge papers. While discharge papers are usually findable, it takes a long time to get them reproduced. So making sure that you have that, so that if someone is entitled to veterans benefits of some kind, whether it be for real estate or for long-term care, or maybe the spouse of a veteran who would be entitled to benefits, that we make sure that we have discharge papers available. That we know employers and dates of employment. This is for pension information. Again, I talked about in financial records, making sure that everybody knows what your sources of income are. So again, really important to know about pensions and other employment information. It could be health insurance or something else along those lines.